The German philosopher Immanuel Kant's project was to establish the authority of reason. His position is known as critical philosophy. His focus in philosophy was the nature of knowledge and the nature of morality. Kant's philosophy was deemed to have made room for faith. However, as a philosopher of enlightenment, he believed everything should undergo the test of criticism. In his major work, Critique of Pure Reason, Kant scrutinized the cognitive powers of the mind. Thus, he delineated how experience is possible. Kant replaced the traditional assumption that all knowledge must conform to objects with the belief that objects should conform to our knowledge. Accordingly, theoretical knowledge should include both sensibility and understanding. It is possible, through an essential role, for synthetic a priori judgments. Synthetic means obtained from experience, and a priori means originating in truth of reason in contrast to truth established by experience. Kant's position in his work, Critique, concerns pure reason. He claimed that all determinations are possible a priori. This means their justification does not require any particular course of experience. Kant advanced reasons for the existence of a priori institutions, like space and time, in sensibility, as well as a priori concepts in understanding to explain how synthetic a priori knowledge is possible. These are the basic forms required for having any experience. Kant provided this picture to marry rationalism and empiricism. He believed that the tendency of pure reason to exceed the limits of sensory experience account for the conflicting views of traditional metaphysics. Kant tried to make his version of metaphysics, transcendental metaphysics, take the place of traditional metaphysics. Transcendental philosophy is based on categories justification. This made faith in the existence of God possible and allowed for human freedom. Categories are pure non-empirical concepts of understanding, by which man should structure and order the objects of experience to make experience possible. Kant argued that our knowledge applies only to appearances and that it is possible to make metaphysical claims about intelligible characteristics of reality. He believed that all our theoretical knowledge is limited to the systematization of what are mere appearances. Kant's position criticizes theories and claims which fall outside the realm of experience. He believed, although the form of experience is relative to us, he does not deny the reality of things independent of this form. Morality in Kant's philosophy is based on duty and self-legislation of free and autonomous agents, which means human beings. The main principle in Kant's morality is the categorical imperative, which necessitates the universality of moral judgments, respects for humanity and oneself and others as ends in themselves, and action as autonomous members of a moral community. He tried to prove how man's moral life should be based on a rational, universally accessible self-legislation. Kant advanced a completely moral foundation for traditional claims about God. He intended to justify practical knowledge to reveal that rational faith has an absolute claim on us. Kant claimed by critical examination of reason's powers, it is capable of distinguishing unjustifiable traditional metaphysics from the principles for determining ourselves within spatio-temporal experience and by our practical need to legislate consistently with other rational wills. The picture that Kant presented is a somewhat metaphysical thesis which enriches empirical explanations by giving them an a priori boundary. His doctrine avoids an explanation for that boundary other than the statement that it rests in the constitution of man's sensibility. Although Kant tried to make room for faith, he followed suit with the Enlightenment. Enlightenment presented its own naturalized religion, which entails rejection of the revelation. However, revelation has its own justification and abundant evidence ignored and distorted by the Enlightenment. Kant's picture of knowledge, though, an improvement on empiricism and rationalism, suffered a setback shared with all modern manifestations of philosophy, and that was ignoring the limits of human cognition and the scanty expanse of man's observation of the world around them. This makes the judgments made based on post-Enlightenment perspectives metaphysical, something that modern philosophy unsuccessfully tried to resolve. Kant's projects and promises were not accomplished.